right, everybody. Today's guests are the real deal. Jenn and Delle are an absolute powerhouse couple rewriting the rules of real estate, building an empire using creative strategies that most investors overlook. Seller financing, subject to deals, rent to own. They have mastered the plays that let you close without banks, without agents, and without using your own money. But here's what sets them apart. They're not just doing deals, they're duplicating results, and they're helping their students step into financial freedom, quit their jobs, and build real generational wealth using the same proven blueprint. This episode is going to be tactical and timely, and it is the roadmap that so many investors are missing right now. So let's get right into it. Welcome to the Closers Club. Jenn and Joe. Thank you so much.
That was awesome. Thanks, Dave, for having us on.
Such a nice intro.
I want to dive right in. Most investors think that if they don't have cash or a bank pre-approval, that they're out of luck. They're out of the game. But you two have proven that's just not true. So what's some of the biggest mindset shifts that somebody needs to make if they want to win with creative financing and stop waiting for permission to invest?
Well, I got to say, my biggest challenge in the beginning, I was wholesaling. I was looking for the fixer-uppers. I'm looking to get them at half price, right? Because we're going to remodel them and do a bunch of work to them. Some we would flip, some we would burr. But then when I realized anybody who ever reached out that had a beautiful house, a turnkey house, I would always kind of shoo them away, saying, like, if I can't get it at a huge discount and it doesn't need anything, I can't help you. So the first mind shift is like all of those sellers who have these nice houses that sometimes want full price. We could actually buy those houses, and those are some of the easiest deals of all to do.
Really?
No contractors. Some of these we're buying with even as little as $100 down and some closing costs. Wow. And these are turnkey houses. These aren't the junkers that I was used to buying. So my mind shift
Me too. As a wholesaler, that's what I'm used to.
And I'm still doing those. But when somebody reaches out with a beautiful house, I figured out this way to become more efficient with the leads that I'm already getting. If you're a wholesaler, you're generating leads. Have you ever ran into a seller that wants just too much money for their house?
Right.
Everybody say yes, raise your hand, right?
Right.
Well, that's what happened to me. And I would just say, I can't help you, go list it with an agent. But then back in 2015 and 16, when I was learning this strategy, I was like, oh my gosh, like I could buy a house and not have to go to a bank and buy turnkey houses. So the first one we even did back then, the guy inherited his grandfather's house, turnkey property. I didn't have to lowball him. And he said, don't come in with some lowball offer. So I paid his price if we could do it in payments. And he was so thrilled that we paid his price. We bought it with $100 down. We paid like a couple thousand in closing costs. And this is in New York.
Really?
And he was so thrilled that we paid his price. He never even charged us interest. I got a 0% mortgage on the free and clear property on that deal. And then after we did that first one, this was what set it off for us. No, we're here.
Oh, okay. I think my internet skipped out a little bit. That's unbelievable. But I think you're right. You know, so many of us, especially when I was out doing deals all the time, I'm like, oh my God, I've got to buy it at 20 cents on the dollar. But that's just not practical, and that doesn't help everybody.
Yeah. And I think the other thing, David, is that people assume what the sellers will or won't do, but you really can't assume that. You've got to ask the questions and just see if this is something that will work, because it just may, and you could buy a beautiful turnkey house with $100 down.
And then and helping the person who, you know, is in some kind of a jam. And I always say that house or that property is literally keeping them up at night. Right. So it adds another kind of tool to our tool belt.
It really does.
And that was the key. It was how to become more efficient with the leads that we were already getting. Right. Yeah. I still make offers. We wrote one up today on a fixer upper in upstate New York. Needs a bunch of work.
We're wholesaling that, right?
We're going to wholesale that one. So if any of you are listening in upstate New York, we got a good one. We got a couple actually. And, but once again, when we have a turnkey house, like we have this lady, Jennifer, she's got a house in Venice, Florida, closer to where we live. Yeah. She just bought it. She doesn't even it doesn't need any work. It's not even in a flood zone. So she's moving back up north. And so when we told her we'll buy it for what she owes, we're just going to take over her payment. She says, can you give me $3,000 to help me move with the U-Haul? So we're doing it with $3,000 down and some closing costs. So I love those deals. I like helping contractors, but you know, after you're dealing with enough of that, and I could buy the one without needing this, and they're just rent ready day one. That's my favorite deal.
Scalable.
And you can do this anywhere in the country, like all 50 states.
Yeah,
from Florida, because you live near Tampa.
Yeah, we've done deals in North Pole, Alaska, down to Florida, New York, and many states in between.
Yeah, did you know that was a real place, North Pole, Alaska?
No, I mean, other than my Rudolph the Reindeer, cartoons that I watched as a kid, that's probably about it.
Well, the seller reached out. They actually were in North Carolina, and the seller says, if you want to really help me, buy my house in North Pole, Alaska. I did not know there's a place. I didn't know there was.
Did you think they were messing with you? Let's be honest.
I totally did. We were laughing about it.
Yeah, the girl on our team. I was like, ah ha ha, Brittany, you're real funny. She's like, no, I'm serious.
Because we've all had somebody be like, I've got this house at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. As always, everybody's a comedian.
But it's close to a huge military base. It's an actually really active area. And he was a disabled vet. They were making this mortgage payment for like 2 years while the house sat vacant.
Right.
And so when I told them I would take it over for what they owe, do the payments, they were more than thrilled and couldn't say yes fast enough.
Right. So when you're looking at a property like that and it's some weird town or area where you're not familiar with, like, what are some of the things that you're looking at to say, yeah, this is the kind of deal that we can make work?
Well, the first thing I love was a no money down deal, right? Because my cost of entry, of entry is really low. Number two, does it have college, a hospital, schools, military base, all of these things? And I absolutely love that. There's a spot in upstate New York called Watertown, New York, huge military base. A lot of people are coming and going. And so that kind of props up the economy there. Same thing with a hospital or colleges, things like that. So this works in big cities. It works in small town USA.
And then you pick up the phone and you call local, A++ realtors.
Yeah. And we get a good feel and get a pulse on the market of what's happening. I mean, we've got deals where we've done in remote areas, and then you talk to the agents, they're like, there's just nothing available here. So the minute something comes up, rental or for sale, they get snatched up quick.
Yeah. So super important to make sure that if you're going to buy, because you're buying these houses, right?
Yeah.
You're taking title to them, and then you're finding some type of like a tenant buyer or somebody that can go into them. Right.
Yeah. That's our favorite actual strategy, just because as you're scaling, the toughest thing as a landlord is getting all the phone calls and the toilet's plugged, the light bulb's out, that kind of stuff. And it gets old as you scale, especially. So how can we do it without property managers? Is we do a lease with the option to buy, rent to own. So our renters move in, give us a big, large, non-refundable option deposit. So they're better clients and renters off the bat. I mean, they're talking 10, 20, 30,000 just to move in.
Wow.
But they also realize part of the deal is they're responsible for the maintenance and repairs. Now, this isn't a junker. This is a nice house. But if that light bulb goes out or the toilet gets plugged, they don't call us, they fix it, or they call somebody to help fix it for them.
Nice.
So we don't get the calls anymore, which is really nice.
So you don't have to have a property manager, none of that stuff. They just mail you a check every single month.
They do electronically now.
Yeah, electronically.
Oh, do they do it? Yeah, yeah. I have a property manager now, but that tells you how long it's been since I've actually dealt with my properties.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, it is. It actually absolutely changed my life. I love that. So so now you have the ability, any type of deal that comes in, you have not an exit. I guess it would be an exit strategy, right? You can wholesale it. You can buy it and then lease option it out. Or what's your favorite strategy once you get a property? Like as far as like lease option, do you do like land contracts, or is mainly like a lease option your go-to?
So my favorite is definitely, without a doubt, having a lease option, rent to own. I like owning the property, retaining ownership of it. I'm still getting depreciation. I get to write off my taxes. The renters are paying off our debt, which I love that. And you're getting a much better renter in there. So once we buy a property and take it down, I'm either wholesaling it. I don't want to do fix and flips. Once in a while, we still do those, but I tend to wholesale more now. And then if it's a property we're keeping, I'm putting in a renter to do a lease option every time.
Really? So on the lease options, what's the worst thing that can happen? I guess that they leave, right? It seems like a very safe strategy.
Well, people are going to people. So you could still have evictions. So that's why we do a lot up in upstate New York. We love that little honey hole up there near Rochester. So if you have any properties, send them our way. But we don't want to put a seller finance person in there because we don't want to have to foreclose if they stop paying. We want to actually be able to evict them. So therefore, you got to have a proper paperwork. So they have their lease agreement and then they have their option to buy. And so ideally, in a perfect world, that they pay their rent on time, they buy the property when they're ready, and everyone goes on their merry way. Worst case scenario, they stop paying. We have to make sure they get out of the property. And then we've had to clean up a little bit, put a little bit of money in, and then guess what? We offer rent to own, lease option again, and we find somebody else that hopefully is going to actually stay and pay. And, that's what it is. If you are just doing long-term rental there, then you don't have that security of that long, the non-refundable option. You only have a small deposit, and the damage that they could do, that's not going to cover much, right? So
I'm telling you, it never covers it, because I turn rentals all the time, and I'm like, what about the deposit? They're like, well, that was $800. It's $4,000. Like, oh my gosh.
Well, we had one not long ago where the guy moved in. We bought it with a wrap, right? The seller wanted to sell it with seller financing, but she had a mortgage. We bought it with no money down. We put in a renter to do the lease option, and you get much longer stays too. But he was there for 5 years. He put down $10,000 as his deposit, and then he just, like Dave, he up and moved out. Like Jen was like, he didn't pay rent, so we reached out. He's like, oh, I left, and the key is on the gate. So when I sent my contractor, because we're in Florida, the house is in New York, we sent my contractor, and he's like, dude, this place is a mess. He was growing pot in the house. He left some like hanging upside down pot plants. He punched holes in the wall, probably because he was growing shitty pot. And so
he wasn't making enough to cover the rent.
He was all mad. So he was punching holes in the wall. But then after he left, it cost
because you're a bad businessman. Don't take it out on my house, right?
Oh, he just
exactly.
But so we spent $20,000 after he left and made it beautiful again. But when we found our next renter, it was actually, the house wasn't even completely done yet, but she had $30,000 to put down.
Wow. So you're back up.
Yep. So I'm back up, but the rent went up to market
and the
rate.
appreciation,
the value went skyrocketing. So we turned a bad situation into a great one, a really great one. And then if you think of, if it was just a rental and our deposit was $1,200, we would have been out $19,000. And this way we're actually up. And so to us, this has been the strategy that's where our renters are helping us scale our portfolio, because we're able to get these big deposits from them.
And these folks that are moving in, like another mindset shift for everyone listening is that, this lady, she just went through a really bad divorce. So her credit really took a dive. And that's why she had a large non-refundable option deposit to put toward her new home here, because she just sold her old house. But there's nobody that would want to rent to her with her credit score being a what?
Like a 490.
Yeah.
But she was a nurse, 20 years on the job, made close to 6 figures. And when her husband left, everything got delinquent. She was somebody good that just had a bad situation happen. So part of the divorce, they paid off all of her debt. So I've got a lady with 30 grand down, making almost 6 figures a year with no debt, but she's got a 490 score. So everybody listening is, well, 490 score. Well, guess what? I've seen 700 scores that are complete. You've got 2 credit cards with a $500 limit, and your credit score is a 715. It's not about score. It's about the substance. It's about the income. It's about all of those things.
Right. So when somebody leaves, like that, the guy that was there before, he just loses his $10,000.
He didn't even ask for it back.
So
he was gone.
That's amazing. Wow. So when you guys talk about these deals where you're doing no money down, like kind of like dig into that a little bit. Like, how are you pitching that to people? How are you convincing them to basically just sign over a house to you for $3,000?
So the first rule is the biggest rule, is you got to work with motivated sellers.
It's not Fight Club, right?
Yeah.
We can talk about it. Okay. All right.
Get your pens out.
But you got to talk to motivated sellers so much that we actually made a chart of scale of 1 to 10. 1 is like, hey, why are you bothering me? I want to sell my house, but I'm going to be mean to you, right? Which is weird. It happens. But then 10 is like, please, I'm an emergency. Come take my house. I need a solution quick. And what I've realized, the people that we're doing business with are usually in that 8, 9, 10 range, right? They're pretty motivated. So that's rule number 1, is talk to motivated people and don't waste your time with time wasters.
Yeah.
I had that issue first starting off, but once you do, and you're talking to them about their situation, one of the phrases that I say all of the time, I actually went over it with my team training this morning. I just tell them straight up, I typically buy with no money down. Okay. And it's a question, but it's also a statement. And many times they'll say, okay.
Really?
You'd be shocked. And we bought some really nice houses with that little silly saying. And then sometimes they might give a little bit of a fuss, say, well, I need some money. Well, I'm like, well, I anchored it at 0. So once again, they say, well, I need some type of down payment. I say, what's the least you would take to make this deal work for you? And I just shut my mouth, and then I listen. And if it's some high number, I say, I can't do that, but here's what I can do. And sometimes they need some money for their, if you need to sell your house here and use all of the proceeds to buy your next house, I'm not your buyer.
Right.
But there's many situations where that's not the case. Many there are, but there's many that aren't. And for this lady in Venice, she doesn't have any equity. So low equity deals are my favorites. And low equity with a 2 to 3% rate. Oh, I will take all of those I can get my hands on.
as many, that's one thing people say to me, like, because we bought a lot of Prop 14 and, why didn't you buy more? Well, first of all, we thought it was the end of the world, but my God, I wish I could have gone back and just bought 300 instead of 100. It would have been absolutely amazing. What about, and I know you guys post a lot on social media and you're very forward facing. What about people who say, like, what you're doing is, taking advantage of people, or, you bad investors, you're doing all of these things and, maybe, I don't know, stealing somebody's house or something, right? I know that's crazy, but, do you ever get that?
Well,
no, we don't get any online hate or trolls whatsoever.
Come on.
Oh my God, David, all day long.
I
We
know.
get it, every platform. But no, I think at the end of the day, what really helps me is that because we've actually helped people, I think about those people and how many more there are out there. So a lot of people are just bored and have nothing better to do. They're going to run their mouth behind the keyboard, and I can't help them, and I'm never going to. I'm not even trying to. So I ignore them, and then I focus on the Jennifers, the Natashas, the Zebs, the real people that I have even photos with that I've helped in real life situations, the stories, the tears, and I just lead with my heart. And I just know success is a good night's sleep, and I'm doing right by everybody out there. And so unless you're in the arena getting your butt kicked, I really don't care what you have to say.
I think we definitely take a beating, especially, we were just on that other call, like some of my biggest ones are reels or things, or where I'm talking about being a landlord. But for real, every one of those people that I bought those properties from, had cancer. Like there was always a reason, right? And they wanted to sell to somebody, reliable and, protect their credit or not go into debt or any of those things. So I think it's so important. And that's what we do as real estate investors, right?
Well,
we're here to help people.
Not only that, we offer speed, we offer convenience.
Yes.
We with our strategy offer full price. So my deal that with Jennifer, she's got no equity. She's going to get $3,000 in Florida. She puts that house on the market right now. By the time she pays closing costs and a real estate commission, and even if she sells it for what she owes on it, which now Florida's not having that happen, she can't afford to do it. She doesn't even have enough money to pack up the U-Haul truck. Better yet, having enough capital to write a check for $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 to say goodbye to an unwanted house. And there's a lot of sellers who are in these situations. So, when real estate investors get a bad rap, well, I mean, doctors do, police do.
Taylor Swift does.
Right?
Like the nicest person on earth,
So I really just have thick skin. I just don't care because what Jen said, I know the people we're talking to them. I know their story. And if whoever were to talk negative was in our shoes trying to help out those same people, they'd be trying to do the same thing. They just can't. So it's probably some jealousy.
How is the market in Florida? I've heard it's a little bit rough right now.
Yeah, it's causing a lot more opportunities. A lot more opportunities. There's sellers who are just, their houses are sitting on the market. They're not selling. So the traditional route's not working. So if I'm a motivated seller, my job just took me to Texas. Like we just did a deal. The house is nice. They don't have much equity. It's a 2021 build, but his job took him to Texas. He's in Texas, wife's in Florida packing up. He's like, we don't have equity. I know if I put on the market, it's going to be 100+ days before it sells. And I don't have the ability to wait that long because we're making 2 payments.
Or make 2 payments, right?
They would have to, and they were.
And I think sellers are starting to understand that they're not going to get it is not 2022 anymore. So you've got to come back. You got to come down, and hopefully you can meet at a happy medium and help them out, because I think the one problem we see too is the high interest rate and the insurances, and then now it's hard to get into property if it doesn't cash flow as the investor, and you don't want to overpay for the property. So there's a lot of moving parts. So even if it is a creative deal, you got to make sure that it makes sense.
Right. Yes, for sure. What's some of your favorite strategies right now for finding those deals? For me, it was expired listings. I loved expired listings.
Yeah, so expired listings work well. That's been a classic that I've always loved. The one that's working great, and it has been for years, is just using Facebook. We could run sponsored ads, but one of the easiest ways to do it, like if I want to find deals in Orlando, I'm just joining. You go into Facebook in the search bar under your own Facebook profile, and you type in Orlando. You hit groups, and it'll show you all these groups in Orlando. And some of these, David, have like 100,000 people in them. Some have 10,000. I just join them all. I make a post in the 4 or 5 of them a day, just says, does anybody have a house for sale that's not market ready? I'm looking to buy one in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And if you just make that post into 5 Facebook groups a day, you're going to have incoming leads for free without spending any money. And I could target it. So if you're running PPC or PPL, you know how much that costs, especially if you're trying to, target a major city like Tampa or Orlando or Miami. You could spend thousands of dollars to get some leads, where I could put post in Miami right now. And by the end of this episode, I'll have people say, hey, I want to sell my condo. Hey, I'm thinking about selling my house. And they're DMing me. And now I'm just asking a couple quick questions to kind of filter them out. And then after we do that, it's just get on the phone with the good ones.
Really? I love that. And that's one thing that I think is amazing, that you work with your students and clients. And we're going to post a link here in just a second, but that there are all these low cost alternatives that you don't have to spend $20,000 a month and try to figure out PPC and, or buy PPL leads or all of that. But there are some amazing low cost alternatives that just get directly to the people who are struggling.
Well, and that's a challenge when you're doing an investor. It's either where they fail is I don't have enough leads, which is usual, or I'm spending way too much on my leads, and they don't have enough ability to have a runway long enough to keep on paying for leads before they close the deal. So now if you could have, tens or hundreds of incoming leads for free, now you don't have to worry about having that that marketing budget. And now it's just, you're going to do deals if you just keep doing with it.
Yeah, I love that. And speaking of that, I know that you have a lot of students all over the country. How has that been going?
It's so much fun. I can't believe, I was just thinking about how we've really been doing it for 4.5 years now. And I was a middle school English teacher, and now I homeschool our 2 kids.
Yes.
And so I think that mix of all of the crazy terminology and the financing part of it, was where his brain was all up here. I was like, let's break it down, because it confused me. And I'm like, man, if I could figure this stuff out, anybody can. And it really isn't as complicated as we want to make it, right? Business is simple. We're helping people, we're asking questions, and then the math has to math. And so we've been able to help people all over the country, like you said, and it's just really been such an experience to see them either do their first deal or scale their portfolio. And people have walked away from their jobs, which is just crazy to think about, the freedom and the life flexibility that real estate can give you.
Well, and I think of Donnie. Donnie just joined our program a few months ago. He was in another program for 2 years, never did a deal. And he felt frustrated. He was like, I'm not getting the support I need. So I'm like, welcome to our club. He gets in. We're talking about generating leads. He starts doing that. He's in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Shout out Donnie. He's awesome. But now he has this seller where they've already moved into their new house. This is a nice house, nice neighborhood. Doesn't need any work. After talking with the seller, she had it listed at $400,000. It was at 360. She owes 315 on the house. She's got a 3.8% rate. And so part of what we do in our coaching community, I'm like, hey, bring that seller call to our because we do a live support call 5 days a week. So he brought it, said, hey, Joe, can you call the seller for me? Which I love to do, help our clients lock up deals. So when I get on the phone, I'm explaining to the seller who we are, what can we do to help? Once I explained to her, hey, we'd buy it for what she owes, she agreed. I'll sell it to you for $315 if we cover the closing costs and if we take over her payment, because she already moved. She's making 2 payments. And her big thing was, hey, I am totally game. Let's go do that. How soon can we close? And I know Texas, those boys and girls down there, they could close in 10 days, 2 weeks-ish. So when we told her that, she was giddy. She was so excited about it. And we help him lock up his first deal. So now we're walking him through the paperwork and getting him in touch with the title company attorney to help him close the deal every step of the way. And he's just like, oh my gosh, because 2 years at another program never did a deal.
And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with it?
I'm like, you just bought a house, bud.
Yeah, I love that. And then, wow, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No money down. He's got to pay the sister-in-law agent $1,000 so she could say goodbye. So he's paying $1,000 down. That's going to go to the agent, and then he's going to pay, I think it was $6,000 in closing costs. So $7,000 out of pocket, turnkey house with a 3.8 rate, and it doesn't need anything. So those deals are all over the country, and there's more of those sellers out there. So as regulations get tighter on wholesaling, sometimes fix and flips have a lot of risk that goes along to it. But the way you build wealth in real estate is by holding real estate. You could flip, 100%. Great money. You could wholesale, great money. But when you stop, the party's over. With real estate, you make wealth in the 4 different ways when you own it. So my whole key is like, make all that active income, but I'm looking to put some into our portfolio and continue to grow that. And that's where the real fun gets into. It starts, I mean, over the last 5 years, what our net worth has gone up to, it's been just absolutely insane.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. Okay. I know you guys have to jump off here, but I do have one, really important question. Again, sorry, I lost where I was. If you had to do a creative deal, right, in the next like 3 days, 72 hours, very similar to the one that you were just talking about, right? For somebody who's listening, besides going to your website and connecting with you guys, but 72 hours, no CRM, no budget, no warm leads. What is the first thing that you would do to get that deal done?
First thing I would do is I would start joining all the Facebook groups where I'm going to do a deal. I would start posting into 5, 6 of the 7 of those groups a day. Number 2, I'm going to every day until for my 3 days at least. In the meantime, after I do that, I'm going to have incoming leads. Number 2, I'm going to go on Zillow. I'm going to look for houses for sale. In the search bar, I'm going to look for owner financing, seller financing, motivated, assumable. There's a search bar, and I wouldn't put them all together one at a time. But this is going to show you every property that's available where it says seller financing or owner financing in the wording somewhere. And I'm going to call them and work out a deal with every single one of those. I think of Jacob. He's one of our favorite success stories. 19-year-old, home from college for the summer, got into our program. He legitimately did a deal in 3 days. And the way I'm telling you is exactly, so I didn't create that. I'm stealing what Jacob did. And in 3 days, he
was relentless.
He called me up freaking out. And he was like, Joe, I think I just got my first deal. And I'm like, I mean, bud, you've been doing this for 3 days. And he was like, no. And I look at it. I'm like, wow, you actually did. Got a big old check, made a whole bunch of money. And, I even joked with him, like, what took so long? And he was like, well, my girlfriend was in town. But, he did it. And he talked to probably 100 sellers in 3 days.
Probably about 100 people.
That's incredible. Massive, just massive and perfect action, as our friend
You got it.
Yep. And then helped us.
Awesome.
We helped him lock it up, and then the rest is history.
I love it. Guys, thank you so much. If this is what you want to do, if you want to build some real wealth in real estate, you're, like Joe said, you're not going to do it through wholesaling or fix and flips, because the day you stop, the money just turns off like a faucet property. So if you want to do that, make sure that you're going to creativefinanceplaybook.com. We will drop the link in the notes if you're watching this a little bit later, but it's here in the comments. Jenn, Joe, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys coming on. We always have such a good chat. I love what you're doing. I think it's absolutely incredible, and the industry needs it, because we cannot all be, posing on top of Lambos pretending to do wholesale deals. So I love what you're doing.
Well, thank you so much for having us on.